Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya Revolutionary for a late night. Late night. Late night. I'm going to be here briefly. I'm not going to hold you. I know you have stuff to do. Uh, so I'm just going to give my commentary, my opinion on what's going on. As you can see, KTN had uh, a little piece called Cocaine Highway, basically highlighting how J, not JK, Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, the biggest airport in Kenya, one of the most busiest, if not the busiest airport in Eastern African region, is known for, uh, you know, letting drug traffickers go by through without even care. There's no security. Basically, it seems like the uh, drug traffickers, that's their hub right there. They like using that route because they know they can get away with it. They can pay and get their way to traffic their drugs outside through JKIA, sorry. All right. And with this with this expose, it's obviously one of the individuals who highlighted their faces through facial recognition technology nowadays. Well, it was the cameras, CC cameras, caught one of Hassan Joho's partner. Well, I'm not saying he's his partner in selling drugs, but I'm saying his buddy. He's been seen taking pics with this guy. And it's assumed that he might be, you know, running errands for Hassan Joho. Because it's said, allegedly, that Hassan Joho is the big dog. But, but, I'm looking at it differently, though. I'm looking at this differently. Is someone trying to get Hassan Joho out of the CS position? Is someone out to get Joho? I'll tell you why I think so. This is just more than a coincidence. You can't just have these documentaries being aired on national TV and everybody has whispers, loud whispers, pointing at Joho and Kabogo. And Mr. Amunyoro up here, Gachagua, giving us his monthly 2-hour interview specials, was basically saying the same thing, saying, hey, listen, all the evidence points at Joho and Kabogo. Why is Ruto still having these people in the cabinet? I'll touch on that for a bit. Like I told you, I won't dig deep because I'm not trying to stay here for long. I've been hustling, so I'm tired. But I will give my view on this. Tomorrow, maybe I might explore in this, okay? But I'll just give my 2 cents on this issue, then I'll let you guys marinate on that, all right? Raila Odinga, ayatondo poda, tirengenyi mwenyewe, conman, is said to be, he's not feeling good. They had to rush him outside Kenya to get some checkup done, or whatever the case is, according to Oburu and some other sources. And ODM tried to turn this to blame Kalonzo and Rigathi Gachagua after rumors were circling that Raila Odinga, some people said he went unconscious and he had to be rushed to Nairobi hospital. Some people say he just suffered, I don't know what. But regardless, it is said that Raila Odinga went to the hospital and was flown out of the country, since it's a shame that Kenya does not have, um, you know, a level 1 hospital or a hospital that is well equipped to handle any kind of emergency. Okay, they have to, these politicians, they urge us to go use SHA, SHIF, whatever the case is, which is not working. You cannot get insurance, national insurance, health insurance, and even advanced medical care. These guys who are telling you to go use the national hospitals, when they get sick, they go outside the country. But that's not the topic that I want to emphasize on. That's not what I'm about to talk about. I'm just mentioning the fact that it is rumored that Raila Odinga suffered some kind of medical, I don't know, emergency, and he had to be taken to Nairobi Hospital. They posted a picture of him being in King's hospital somewhere in Australia or Dubai or London. I'm not sure, but he's not in Kenya. Definitely not in Kenya. Okay? So we'll just touch on that a little bit. But let me just start with this KTN cocaine highway thing, because that's what's raising eyebrows. And Rigathi Gachagua actually made it, brought back the issue. Now, listen, people. I want you to connect the dots here, right? I'm your political dietitian. I am the greatest dot connector, and I will help you connect the dots here, because I want you to understand what's really going on with Hassan Joho and Kabogo. All right? Listen, I'm not going to dwell on the alleged business that Hassan Joho is involved in. It's actually not alleged anymore. If you guys follow this guy, he has a great channel. His name is Dr. Kenny or something. He was an Mombasa political activist that fled from Mombasa to UK, after he claimed that Hassan Joho tried to kill him. This guy, he understands the Mombasa politics in and out. He's been speaking. Go to his YouTube channel. I think it's called Dr. Kenny. This guy followed Hassan Joho's case in New York. When it had Hassan Joho, Akasha, and Hassan Joho and his brother, and all these things. Okay, so he speaks extensively about Joho being involved in drug dealing. Okay, this is not my words. This is his words, and he says the documentation is there. Joho went and, went for trial in New York, in I think it's Southern District of New York. Quotes down there. Okay, I have to do my due diligence. I'm just going by what he said, but I'm just trying to make a point here, bigger point. Now, here's the dot that I want you to connect. Remember, when people were making fun of Kabogo and Hassan Joho when they went to New York and they posed in that picture, when they accompanied Ruto in that, guess what, UNGA meeting in the UN, United Nations General Assembly, meeting, yearly meeting, or whatever the case is. Remember, it's short for UNGA. Well, there are people who are saying that Hassan Joho and Kabogo, who are named by Saitoti back in the day, remember that? When he named them as, say that he got intel from the American DEA and FBI saying that Hassan Joho and Kabogo were involved in smuggling of cocaine in Kenya, among other names, okay? So when they saw these guys in New York, when they posted that picture, people, Kabogo posted that picture on his, on his page on X, and people started clowning him, asking him, where is Arun Wow? They were just making fun of him, okay? Knowing that, considering the report that Saitoti gave on Parliament, and after he named them, we know the story, Saitoti lost his life. But it's been an open secret. It's kind of known in Kenya that Kabogo and Joho are they're involved in drug business, cocaine business, whatever the case is. Okay, that's what the street is saying. I'm not saying. But here's the thing, though. I want to take you back again. You have to understand how politics works. This channel is about Kenyan politics and the world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if this is your first time, please subscribe. If you're already subscribed, the first order of business is to do what? Hit the like button and put the bell notification on so you can always get me. But let me get to the point. I was particularly interested by the pronouncements, by the speech that was given by the Colombian president when he hit the stage in that UNGA meeting, United Nations General Assembly speech. Okay? Most people didn't pay attention. You have to pay a freaking attention, guys. Everything is related. I'm not going by rumors. Yeah, people were clowning that, Kabogo and Joho are in New York to do business for their UNGA business. I just want to highlight this speech that the Colombian president said. Now, for those of you who don't know anything about Colombia, I mean, Colombia is known as, one of those countries that has been affected by, the cartels because of the cocaine production there. Historically, we know the story, okay, with the Pablo and all that stuff, all right? I'm not going to walk you through this. You already know Colombia has that reputation, okay? But that's not what this Colombian president was talking about. He mentioned something that's very interesting. He lambasted the Trump administration for going after Venezuela, basically going to an attempt to overthrow the leadership there, to invade Venezuela. As we speak right now, there has been, fire. The Marines have been sent there, and they've been, I think, yesterday or the day before, there was a boat that was shot down by the U.S. Marines. Okay, and it is saying that they are preparing on a land invasion in Venezuela. Now, the U.S. is claiming that they're going there because Venezuela is a hub for drug trafficking, which basically send their drugs to the U.S. in the south through the southern border, and it's affecting the U.S. Okay, that's what they're claiming. They are going to fight Trump administration is basically blaming Maduro, and of course, for some people, they are interpreting this as United States, the Trump administration, using Venezuela's drug problem, if there is any, to remove Maduro, since Venezuela is one of the biggest countries in oil production. They produce oil, I think it's like number 2 or 4 or 3 in the world after Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, then I think Venezuela. Venezuela is rich with oil and minerals, okay? So, and Venezuela, Maduro, after Chavez died, Maduro took over. And Maduro, at first, he was cool with the U.S., but Maduro turned his head and started looking at East. And Maduro has been doing business with Russia a lot. He's aligned to Russia and China than the U.S., And so the U.S. are not happy with that, because the U.S. feel like, anything on this side of the town, U.S. will be able to control it, okay? I'm just talking about, the hegemony talk, okay? They feel like things in their backyard, U.S. look at anything in the southern of U.S., South America, that is, should be under their control, okay? So if Venezuela, which is one of the biggest oil-producing countries in the world, leading to be exact, turns their heads and wants to do more business with Russia, who are the main, I don't want to say enemies, but competitors with the U.S. as far as, this global chessboard that's going on, geopolitical chessboard that I'm talking about, that will not sit well with people at Washington, okay? So they have to get rid of Maduro, who's the president of Venezuela. So they're using the drugs, the cocaine or drugs in general problem in Venezuela, which is, I haven't had, it's not a major problem as the U.S. is making it, but it exists, okay? But U.S. are using that as a pretext to remove Maduro. That's why they're actually sending ships, warships within their waters, and all these airplanes are going up there, the warplanes. They're about to invade Venezuela. And if you just a simple Google, you can see the Venezuelan army on high alert. They're expecting to be fighting the U.S. And actually, I think Russia and China has been helping Maduro with, to prepare himself with, they're sending them, arms to, in case of any invasion. But the U.S. is about to invade, and they're using drones. They're already bombing the coastal area, softening it up before the actual invasion, okay? But anyway, this is all connected. Why? I'm going back to the speech by the Colombian president, okay? The Colombian president, among everything that he talked about, remember, after he gave his speech, he went and joined the protesters in New York on the streets, protesting against this, the illegal, against the ICE deportations by Trump, okay? But anyway, he even got, his visa was banned. His visa got banned, and they asked him to go back to Colombia. But anyway, let me get to the point that is more relatable to what I'm talking about with Joho, okay? The president of Colombia said that the U.S. are claiming to be fighting this fight against drugs, whatever, the war on drugs, by attacking Venezuela, while he said, listen to this, listen to this, I mean, you go check it out, Google, while the biggest drug dealers are sitting in Miami making deals with the DEA. For those of you who live in Kenya, I know you might be like, who is DEA? DEA is Drugs Enforcement Agency. That's what it stands for in the US. They, when it comes to cases about drugs and all this stuff, they work hand in hand with the FBI and local police and all that stuff to, fight. They were involved. They're involved locally and even internationally. I remember DEA wanted to, I think they opened an office in Nairobi, if I'm not wrong. They opened during Kibaki. They did because Kenya was, with all their Akasha, whatever, Toll Brothers, all this stuff, it was getting hot. So the US Embassy were like, hey, listen, we are going to bring in the DEA to open an office here. Because remember, again, I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but this is real stuff. Real stuff. The deep state always want to control the drug trade worldwide. Okay? If you know, you know. Part of the reason why Afghanistan was invaded while they had nothing to do with what happened in 9/11 was to control the opium, plantations. To reintroduce the opium growing in Afghanistan. Remember, when the Taliban were governing in Afghanistan, they banned the growth of opium. Okay, there was no opium growth. If you are found growing any opium up there or trying to do some drugs, because remember, Afghanistan is the #1 place where the Europe was getting its heroin through the opium from Afghanistan. Okay, and Uncle Sam wants a dip on every drug trade in the world, almost everywhere. Okay, the deep state, that is. All right, I'm just breaking it down. Go read Gary Webb's book. Remember this guy that I suspect is still alive. The guy, what's his name? This millionaire who came up with this, not Adobe. What's his name? I'm forgetting his name. He ran to the US was looking for him for tax evasion. He went to some Caribbean country, then he fled to Spain, and when he was detained in Spain, it was reported that he died there. This guy, I forgot his name. Dang it! Today. Anyway, I'll speak more on it tomorrow. But what I'm trying to say is this. Okay, the Colombian president said again that the US should not be pretending that they're fighting the cartels in Venezuela and other South American countries, while the real drug dealers live in Miami making deals with the DEA. Now you might be asking yourself, all right, what has that have to do with anything concerning the KTN highway implicating Joho in this whole drug trade that's happening through JKIA? You might be asking that, right? I'm coming. Can you come down? I'm about to explain to you why. How? So there, what I'm trying to explain to you, to bring to your attention, is this. The Colombian president is basically, without saying so many words or being direct, is basically saying that the United States, okay, is involved. They're being hypocritical when it comes to the war on drugs. Okay, they have a lot of, big drug dealers. They cut deals with big drug dealers. They actually profit from drug dealing. If you go look at the Fast and Furious thing during Obama's Nino, Obama's reign. That's another controversial story that I won't get into. I might do a piece tomorrow, my live tomorrow, when I talk about this in depth, so you can understand where it is said that U.S. government was involved in sending guns to doing business with cartels by sending guns down to Mexico, and the drugs were coming this way. But anyway, let me not take you to that deep, Nino. Let me just connect this with Joho very quickly so you can get the point, okay? Because I'm beating around the bush. So basically, what the Colombian president was saying is this: United States, while they claim that they're fighting, they are in this war on drugs, war against drugs, or whatever the case is, they're fighting these cartels and whatever. The real deal is that the biggest cartels, or the biggest, the biggest drug smugglers, cartels, or whatever the case is, are always in bed with the U.S. government. That's basically what he was saying, okay? Now, which brings me to Hassan Joho, because you might ask yourself, if the United States intelligence, DEA, FBI, name it, CIA, whatever the case is, had intel that Hassan Joho, Kabogo, Harun Mao, and whoever was named by Saitoti, because remember, Saitoti said that he got this dossier from the DEA, from the US intelligence, okay? Remember, that's where he got it. He got it through the embassy. They gave him those names. Remember that. Remember? Are we together? All right, we're on the same page. Which means the United States government know that Joho has been in this game for a while. Okay? Allegedly. Let me just say allegedly, because personally I haven't done my homework, so I don't want to say something that I haven't proven. But this is just common knowledge, as Gachagua said in his interview. This is something that everybody knows in Kenya, right? But I'm just saying, if that's the case, the U.S. government intelligence official gave Saitoti those names, and Saitoti went and read it in the Neo, and he died. They know that Hassan Joho has been involved with this business for a long time. Now, the question you might ask yourself is this: how come Hassan Joho can be involved in this business while, and Kabogo, for that matter, and they can still go to UN and anakula njugu hapo Ruto akitoa speech and doing all this stuff, posing for pictures in front of the hotel, and all this. I know you're thinking you're talking about diplomatic immunity and all this stuff. No. Diplomatic immunity is not offered to criminals. But I'll get to that. Let me just make it short, because I don't want this video to be so long, okay? Because like I said, I'll speak on it extensively tomorrow. So like the video and put the notification on, so tomorrow when I come in for my live, you don't miss me, okay? All right, so we've established that the United States government, okay, they are well aware that Hassan Joho has been involved in this business. Actually, you saw the pictures. And there was actually one post by Nzioki, I think Nzioki or Nzioka, what's his name, whatever his name is, which is very interesting. There was a time when Maersk, that shipping container company, was seized in Australia. It had a lot of tons of cocaine in there, and it said that that those cocaine were coming from Kenya. And then in another frame, it showed Hassan Joho meeting with the president of Maersk shipping container. You guys know what Maersk is? Maerk. The shipping container. I think it's one of the popular shipping containers in the world, I think. So there's a picture of Hassan Joho actually meeting the president of that company, of that shipping container. And then a news clip about cocaine that was seized in Australia. Biggest drug bust in the history of Australia. And those cocaine were found in bandana, covered in bandana pills and all this stuff that originated from Kenya. Kenya, whatever the case is. So everybody, and regarding Gachagua talked about this, the paperwork and all that stuff. I'm not going to get into this today because, like I said, I want to make this video short. But I want to connect what the Colombian president said in that UNGA meeting in New York, and what might be happening with Joho, and what I suspect might be happening with Joho. Okay, so what is happening is this, so that I can deliver this. I'm trying to keep this to a 30-minute video, right? Make sure you like the video and subscribe, okay? And put the notification on, so tomorrow when I come in, I'll talk about this in details, okay? So what I'm trying to say is this. Already the Colombian president has told us, have explained to us, that the United States government always cut deals with top drug cartels. If you watch Narcos, you know. I mean, these guys make deals, they give up people, whatever the case is. Some of them receive immunity or whatever the case is, all right? Now, Hassan Joho, we are asking ourselves, how come Hassan Joho, if we know it's an open secret, the United States intelligence community, government knows that Hassan Joho has been doing this business, is involved in drug dealing, allegedly, and he's still walking around New York like, he owns the place or whatever the case is, all right? Why is he still walking around not being arrested by the U.S. authorities? Does that statement by the Colombian president now make sense? Now, with that said, I want to say this, okay? It is not by accident that KTN, Kenya Television Network, on television, whatever it stands for, Kenyan Television News Network, as big as KTN is, owned by the what? The very corrupt political oligarchs, okay? For them to air a piece that's that's as sensitive as this one, implicating or implying that Hassan Joho, indirectly, that Hassan Joho might be involved in this funny business that's happening through JKIA, that shows me that somebody more powerful than Hassan Joho either wants Hassan Joho out of that CS docket or wants Hassan Joho to be in trouble. You get what I'm saying? Are you catching the drift? I'll repeat again. If a national news network, mainstream news network in Kenya, airs a documentary on national TV, okay? Of course, they did not say that gentleman that got arrested in UK was Hassan Joho's partner, but to be fair, I haven't even watched the thing, but I'm just going by the snippets, the whole thing. But if what Gachagua is saying, based on the cocaine highway documentary, that these drug dealers, their paperwork say that they were exporting or importing minerals, and we know who the CS of minerals and all this blue economy is, Hassan Joho. Okay, if that's the case, and KTN, which is a national news network in Kenya, owned by the political oligarchs, for them to air it, that means someone powerful is not happy with Joho and wants Joho out of here. When I say he or she wants Joho out, I don't mean like dead. I just mean they want Joho either out of that office, that administration, or arrested for whatever reason. Because I want you to think about this. There is no way, as corrupt and connected as these guys are, Joho, along with the rest of these political oligarchs, and let's not be confused by who the oligarchs are. I'm talking about the Kenyattas, the Ogingas, the Mois, whatever, the powerful billionaires, families, and political thieves that have been looting this Kenya dry. They are in one group. So for a national television news network to air this, which is basically something that's, bringing heat to Hassan Joho, basically exposing him as conducting this business through JKIA. Okay? This shows that someone is not happy with Hassan Joho. It puts Hassan Joho in bad light. Now, it is said that it has been silent. Nobody has been talking about this. After the Nino dropped, everyone is quiet. No one is touching that issue, not even with a 10-inch pole. No one is touching that. Na akuna. All these talking, chatting heads, the Sifunas, the Babu, in their weekend funerals, no one is talking about that stuff because they understand that that's a deadly terrain. Okay? You might wake up missing if you say the New York, because the people involved there, they're ruthless and they will get you out. So what I'm trying to say is this: for KTN to run that piece that basically brings heat to Hassan Joho for the alleged drug trafficking activities that's been happening through Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, this has to be something that originates from somebody more powerful that has okayed that KTN piece to air for the sole purpose of doing what? Tarnishing Hassan Joho's name in order to what? Get him out of there. Kumtoa kwa ofisi ama to get him in trouble. Okay? Now, again, I pose this question. Why is Hassan Joho not being arrested by the US? Or whatever the case is? It goes back to what the Colombian president said. The DEA, the United States government, they get to choose who they arrest and who they strike a deal with. And in some cases, I'm not saying this is what the deal is with Hassan Joho. I'm just now talking. I mean, even from watching Narcos and various interviews that you hear from former FBI, DEA agents, they might be using Kabogo and Hassan Joho as what? What do you call it? They are undercover people. Okay? So they might be useful to the US government. They strike a deal that, hey, listen, we are not going to arrest you. We're dealing a kazi. Okay, just give us names of the people who you're doing business with, whatever of the interested party. So that might be it. This is conjecture on my part. I'm not saying Hassan Joho, again, I'll be very clear. I'm not saying that Hassan Joho is involved in drugs. I don't have evidence. I'm just going by the general loud whispers in Kenya. What the streets is saying, okay? Allegedly, all right? So that is what I think about this. There's no way KTN Cocaine Highway documentary will drop in a mainstream media without the okay from someone more powerful than the CSs or the owner of KTN. Okay? This comes up from the top. Maybe from Ruto, maybe from Raila, maybe from somewhere. I don't know. Somewhere. Okay? So somebody wants Joho out. That's why you hear crickets. No one is touching that. Everyone is scared. Now, very quickly, because I'm even past the time that I didn't want to make this longer than this. Raila is sick, probably. But with this Raila thing already, he wants to do what they usually do. Remember, they postponed the 20th ODM celebration, whatever the case is. They're now organizing, the big comeback. So this whole thing might be even, maybe he was sick for real and he was taken to wherever they took him. I don't know if he's in London or Sydney, Australia, or I don't know, Nairobi hospital. I don't know where the King's Hospital is, whatever the case is. But what I suspect now, if you've noticed, every week these political pinheads they try to make the headlines. Just like Gachagua went to the, he made his round for the week. Then he will have a mkutano somewhere. Then tomorrow it will be Matiang'i. Then Martha Karua will hold this. Then Uhuru Kenyatta will appear again. Then so it's the same nonsense every week. But anyway, so what I suspect with this whole Raila saga thing, sickness, whatever the case is, whether it's true or not, I think something happened. Maybe he fell sick or whatever the case is. Or it's a ploy. Listen to me. Again, it's a ploy since Raila and ODM, the perception right now is that they are not a popular political party. So they have to create drama. What is the drama they want to create? Oh, Raila fell sick, they're pulling that Kibaki move. Oh, Raila fell sick, went abroad for matibabu kidogo, then he makes a grand return. Something that Gachagua attempted to do. So they are going to organize a huge Raila return, okay, where he shall be met at JKIA with all the ODM faithful and hundreds of ODM supporters, youth, and they shall march to Kamkunji, singing Raila songs, celebration of 20 years of ODM. You see the nonsense? That's probably what they're trying to, pull again, because again, the talk this week, especially after what's that guy who went and said in Neo? He's from Migori. Is it in Migori? I forgot his name. The one, not Jakakimba, somebody who came out and say ODM is so unpopular right now, even in Kisii by election, no one wanted the tickets as the ticket to vie for ODM in ticket. Okay, so they know that ODM is on the low, and that guy who came to national TV, whose clip is going viral, okay, who said ODM is like nobody cares about ODM right now. So that is a ploy to actually try to rejuvenate or create the perception that ODM is still well and good. So how do they do it? Fake that Raila is sick, is almost dead. Then, he pulls a comeback. Every time you think Raila is over, he's pulling a comeback. So let's organize something. He goes up to London, whatever the case is. Then watu naenda kumshangilia kwa shangwe na vigelegele apokee JKIA, alafu wanamninio. So Baba remains the main character. So that's what I think about Raila Odinga. I can care less if he's sick or not. I'm sick of him personally. I think his time as in the political field should be over. He should go and sit down somewhere, actually in jail. But anyway, that's my personal opinion. I'll leave it here. It's been 38 minutes. I'll leave it here. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, thank you for listening. Subscribe, share, like, comment. I'll expound on what I just talked about today tomorrow. So in order to get me, please do me a big favor. Hit that like button, subscribe, share, like, comment, and that bell button. That one, that notification button. So every time I come in, like tomorrow, I'll talk more on that Joho thing. Okay, I'm going to watch this cocaine highway thing. So I'll talk about it, and again, I'll put it together. I'll weave it together. Remember how I connected the Colombian statement, the Colombian president statement, and Hassan Joho's situation. Okay, and why Hassan Joho is still walking free, and why he was not arrested when he went to the US. Remember, Dr. Amkeni went to his trial. When he went to trial to give statement, I think it was Akasha's brother's statement in Akasha, one of the above, when they were being in New York, I think Southern District courts, whatever the case is. Walienda hapo, and Dr. Amkeni said alienda, and he has the whole documentation when Hassan Joho went to the trial and testified. His brother testified or something like that. Okay. So these guys, the United States government are well aware that this guy, Joho and Kabogo they are, knee deep, or if not deeper, in the drug trade, allegedly. But they're not arresting him. Now, that's what, if you ask anybody from the streets in America, if you have been in the streets pushing weight and Uncle Sam knows it and you're still walking free, it's either you made a deal or you're working with them. You're working for them, okay? That's just street rules 101. So you pick. What do you think? Why? You know, Hassan Joho is still walking around. You make up your mind. Anyway, comment, share, like, comment, and do all this good stuff. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'm out.